Welcome back to Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by betonline.ag and Oakbridge Wealth Management. I'm Matt Perkins, joined as always by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Bernie, how are we doing today, big dog?
Dude, every day's a holiday on the podcast. I know we got to run through this, but David's ring looks bigger than my neck on this screen. Oh, man, I wish I had one or four.
Yeah, no, it's a Big Ten West Champions ring, got it in 2019. It's the biggest ring I have in the collection. It's also kind of one of those ones that you get the feel goods about, but then you also are kind of upset with how the Rose Bowl ended. So that's the story about this ring, but I love to pull it out for special occasions. As you guys know, I'm on the road doing a little development work for UW, and so I wanted to stop in the pod and talk some Badgers. So
yeah, man, we appreciate it. Everyone here knows Dave Pfaff returning to the podcast. One of our favorite dudes in the entire world, man.
There you go.
Like we love this guy. We love working with this guy. We love what his partner is up to with making hats. Make sure you're checking out Zozo Capco, because there are absolute fire hats that you can get out there all over the state. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Got a lot of stuff to talk about here today on Believe in Badgers. But before we get into it, want to remind everyone tuning in that we continue to be presented by betonline.ag, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, and more. Head on over to BetOnline today. Don't forget to use our promo code while you're there. Believe, that's BLEAV, to get your welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BetOnline. The game starts here. And of course, we continue to be proudly presented by our main man, Chris Anicetti, and his entire team at Oakbridge Wealth Management. If you are a pro, future pro, or current NCAA athlete with NIL deals, Chris Anicetti is the man that you need to connect with to get your money right. Over at Oakbridge, Chris and his team of professionals will create a comprehensive financial plan to set you up to navigate your lifestyle and future market conditions. Oakbridge specializes in wealth management for professional athletes. They understand all the pressures that they face every day. Chris and his team will set you up with a bespoke plan to make your money work for you off the field, so you can focus on what you do best, perform on the field. Get in touch with Chris on Instagram at OakbridgeWM_Anicetti. That's OakbridgeWM_ANICETE, or head on over to the website, oakbridgewealthmgmt.com. Chris Anicetti, Oakbridge Wealth Management. Get your money right. Speaking about getting your money right, NIL deals. One of the reasons we want to talk to Dave today, because we know we have a bunch of former athletes listening, which we really, really, really appreciate the support that we're getting from all of y'all. Dave, there's a settlement going on for pre-NIL era athletes in order to get some of that money right. So, Dave, talk us through this a little bit about what's going on.
Well, thank you for asking. As a legal scholar, obviously, it's actually kind of ironic that I wore the suit today. I look like a defense attorney, a trial attorney. No, I'm not an expert, but this had come up this fall. For former athletes that don't know, there's a massive class action lawsuit going against the NCAA, I'm pretty sure, and more so Power 5 conferences, but really has to do with NIL and getting recuperated from the NIL that we were not able to take part of. So it's a $2.8 billion settlement. I think it goes back from, if you played in 2016 to, I think, the present, you were able to compensate something or recompensate something from that, those NIL monies. So be sure to sign up on Athletic. Let me just see here. Athlete compensation. It should show up in a Google search.
We'll drop the link in the show notes as well. So.
Perfect. You need your NCAA clearinghouse number, something that you can easily get from your university. You can call the NCAA. The lawyers are very knowledgeable. They have a lot of information on this website. But I plead with everybody, if you're a former athlete, going back to 2016, sign up for this. This is not $50. We're talking about a $2.8 billion settlement. So definitely get what is yours, and be grateful for it. Be grateful for it. So that's kind of the pitch. I want to get the word out, and you guys have been so great on letting me do that. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Let me tell you a funny story about Xbox and Sony and all those games. The NCAA games that there was a really fat fullback who looked just like me wearing number 45, and guess who didn't join that class action lawsuit? Number 45. And you know what happened? I missed out on anywhere between like $2 and $5 grand. $2 and $5 grand in 2006 when I had no money was a lot of money. Yeah. So I would say just sign up. Even if no thoughts of it even working, I was like, no way this wins. There's no way that EA is going to fork over money. They have all the high-powered lawyers. I put my name on everything. So that's not true. But I would definitely do it if you believe in that and you want to do it. Yeah, put your name on it.
And it's not just, and I want to make this point too. It's not just the position you were. It's not just football. This is all Power 5, Big 10, Division I athletes, and it might even go past the Big 10. But that's as far as I know. I can only speak about my experience. Again, I was never a J.J. Watt or Jonathan Taylor player, right? But it's based around a lot of the money's coming from the TV contracts and the video games, and there is so much money out there that people just don't realize that student athletes don't necessarily they were not able to get. So that's kind of
and David, you call out some of the big names who would have made a lot of money in college, but who also have made a lot of money out of college because of football and their careers. The NIL, yes, it's set up to get these big names in your school, but it's also set up to help people who play, people who are on teams who struggle, who might have no chance to play in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I'll bring up a guy like me. I had a great career at Wisconsin. I was known, but then I got hurt, and that hurt my chances at the NFL. So I made hardly any money there. Mm-hmm. But I could have made money. I could have had more of a safety net to start my life, which I think is same with the transfer portal. When you whittle down to what it was really made for, it's made to help people not saying me, but people who are not going to play in the NFL, who have great careers, who can use a nest egg.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone can use a nest egg. Let's be real.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. What 1% goes to the NFL, and other sports don't even necessarily get the luxuries of an NFL next level type organization to play for.
What was the NCAA slogan? 98% of our athletes go on go pro in something other than sports or whatever it was. That's for you guys, man. That's for the guys who go pro in the UW Foundation, raising money for their school that they love so much, right? So, speaking of the transfer portal, though, we got to get to the Badgers because it's portal season. It's crazy. In some ways, Wisconsin has a weird advantage because they're not going to a bowl game and they're focusing all their energy on the portal. But David, 19 guys out, 9 guys in so far. But I mean, this seems concern. It's a lot of turnover. Let's just say it's a lot of turnover on the roster.
A lot of turnover, and I don't know. You guys are very plugged in, and I'm very plugged in too. But like yesterday, right? We lost 2 more, right? With Pauling and Williams. Yeah. Wild. It is changing so much. I am happy though. We did get a couple of defensive linemen, if my sources are correct. Something that we desperately need. But yeah, just the Wild West. This is what the Wild West is, and some things are good about it, and some things are bad about it. Yeah.
I'm personally, I'm excited to have a defensive lineman named Perkins, Charles Perkins, coming over from UT Martin, from my adopted home state of Tennessee. So I'm excited for him, if nothing else, and to see a jersey out there that says Perkins that I may have to buy, and hope that he gets some NIL money. Hope he gets some money from me purchasing that jersey with his / my last name on the back of it. But they've addressed the defensive line, but David, they've lost 7 defensive backs to the portal. Hunter Wohler and Nazir Forkareen graduated.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of Ricardo Hallman, this defensive backfield is going to look so different. I guess Preston Zachman is back. He announced he's back for a 6th year. But the defense is getting a makeover, but it also probably needs one.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think with how the season went, is it the worst thing to get a makeover? I don't know. It's just so jarring because it's all unprecedented. This has not happened ever, really. It just hasn't really ever happened. But here's one thing, though. We are not alone, and I think people focus on their microcosm. I was talking to one of my colleagues that works in development, and this was before the season ended, and they were talking about how other schools they were saying they would like our problems. Now I don't know if that's the case with snapping the 22 bowl streak and a couple other blemishes, but again, there's kind of this there's only way is up, basically, is what I'm trying to say. The only way we can go now is up. And while I was preparing to talk with you guys, it kind of dawned on me right now. It's like, I want Fickle and I want Chris Mack to give that, Barry Alvarez circa 89 speech. You better buy tickets now, because after a while you can't get them. You won't be able to get them. And that is, I want to rile the crowd up, and I want to see some good things happen this offseason,
I mean, until we solidify who we are and want to be, this portal will continue to happen. This trend will happen. And I have told Matt Perkins, and I think it's unpopular, but maybe people are coming my way, that we need to lose with our guys. We need to recruit these dudes and say, we're going to play you. Yeah. You want to make a change? You're going to be the change. Yeah. And recruit the best guys we can and lose with them. And nobody wants to hear that. I don't want to lose, but I don't want the merry-go-round of getting 7 guys to leave and 2 graduate, but 7 leave, 9 total. Dude, the whole defense is gone. We have the whole defensive front, Matt Perkins. We have 1 guy left. Barton's still here.
Barton, Peterson at outside linebacker, Hallman, and Zachman. I think we've got 4 returning startars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And 2 graduated, and the rest are gone. And Chaney graduated, Lowry graduated, Pius graduated. All I'm saying is, until we know who we are, and then we're willing to say, hey, we're going to win with our guys or lose with them, we're going to keep being on this. We're going to keep going around in circles. But David, how do you then establish that culture when there's a significant chance that the entire quarterback room is different? Right now, only Mabry Matoya's left over. Yeah. And, there are rumors swirling about him maybe or maybe not going to the portal to go with Phil Longo, who's now the head coach at Sam Houston State. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't know, especially at the quarterback position, how do you develop a culture when no one's been there to build the culture?
I think you first of all, we got Billy, right? He just transferred in. I can't remember
Billy
his
Edwards,
last name.
Billy Edwards, and the Danny O'Neill from San Diego State.
Yep. And if I'm the coach, I'm telling Billy, here's the reins, figure it out. We got to if you have ever wanted to be a impact player, now is the time, and there's something to say about guys who want to lead by example and build that culture around them. I've coached high school players like that. I've been around the Chris Orrs who are going to say, you know what, why not us? Let's build something here. And to your point, Matt, let's lose with our guys, let's do it and let's not lose. But if we're going to do anything, let's have our peoples, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's really important.
those coaching points I completely agree with. David, my thought is this is exactly year one with Tanner Mordecai. We brought in a bunch of guys from the portal, and we are still doing the exact same thing, bringing in 2 guys, having them compete. To me, it's just, again, maybe Matoya's been there. I'm not saying he should start. I'm not there at practice every day, but I'm giving him the best. I'm telling him right away, you are the only dude left here. Oh, yes, we recruited people. Yes, we brought people in the portal, but you're sticking with us, and we want to stick with you. Now, you got to prove it, but you could be that guy. Like you could be. So what are your thoughts on, like, it just kind of feels like the same thing as 2 years ago?
Yeah. And I suspect that it's going to feel like that, for until we figure something out with how the portal is set. That's what we might be faced with. It's not a great answer, and it's an answer that people are not going to want to hear. But that's kind of what we're faced with. I would love to see Mr. California
Mendoza
with
98 yards with my boys.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
And I'd love to see guys stay, and I hope they stay, and I hope we foster a place for them, to want to stay. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting situation.
Now, David, a lot of people will say their argument against this is, look at our schedule next year. It's one of the hardest schedules we might have ever faced. So I could see that being in there, saying, we're going to go into this year, we just need to make it past this year with a quarterback we're just going to get from the transfer portal. Still not a fan of it, but I understand that logic, because you don't want to lose 8 games next year.
Yeah.
That would be that'd be bad.
Yeah, that would be catastrophic. But again, I think that first of all, we have all the opportunity in the world for just the schedule piece, right? That's one. And then 2, right? Anything can happen in sports. I mean, look at this year, right? You lose at Alabama, or you lose at home against Alabama. Okay, that's fine. We have challenges with the quarterback. He goes down. That's hard to game plan for that. But then you have some really great games against some really quality opponents. Penn State, that came down to the 4th quarter. Oregon, I thought that was going to be a lost cause, and that's what sports does. Is it if you think it's going to go one way, it's going to go the other way. And so the schedule. We're big boys. We can figure it out. But again, we have to have a great off season, right? We have to have one of those off seasons that they make documentaries about, right? It was no surprise when did you guys see the Florida documentary when Ohio State coach Urban Meyer comes in and he works them. Barry comes in, he worked you guys. You know what I'm saying? You got to figure it out and just have a great offseason. And I know that Coach Fickle's going to do that, and we're going to make some moves. And you have to be an optimist, right? Because sports is not, that's the thing about sports. It's not for negative people. Because if you were negative, right, you just could not play the game. You could not figure it out when you're backed up on your own goal line. And it's 2nd and inches, and they've been running down your throat all game. What are you going to do? Just quit? Just give up? Just be negative? Absolutely not. No one's going to say that. So for anyone who thinks that I'm saying anything that's too, my head is in the clouds, that's fine. But I will be an optimist all day. I do not care. Bucky by a million, and this is coming from someone who is frustrated, extremely frustrated with what's going on. But it's just where we are at.
David, as a defensive player, do you like to see the shakeup on the offensive side at the end of this year?
Say it again, the shakeup?
Like the shakeup, hiring a new offensive coordinator.
New scheme.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's no surprise that I think, again, I was very optimistic with the whole concept of the air raid offense, and I loved the pictures of Longo coming out smoking the cigar. I'm thinking, like, this guy is exactly what we need, just salty the earth dog who's going to air it out. Now, we might still air it out. We might still figure out some air raid options, but really what it comes down to it is I'm excited they shake things up, because that means that we're not insane, right? Because what an insane thing would be to just do the same thing and expect a different result, but instead, right, we're trying to change things, right? We're bringing in Grimes. I think he'll do great things, and you know what, hopefully run that rock, baby. Get back to our lean on our traditions, but also be innovative. That's what you need to do,
Fullback you.
Fullback you.
Bringing them back. That's what we're missing.
Yeah.
Well, I think that and Matt Perkins, my happy place is that we're potentially bringing in a tight end who can play football, which makes me excited. Not saying our guys can't, just, they've been very inconsistent on the field.
Yeah, Tanner Koziel is arguably the best tight end in the portal. I think that's a huge addition, because the tight end position was a 0 at best and a negative in a lot of ways last year. So it is, they need to get something out of that position, because it has not been pretty. I don't really know why, they would still, they struggled in tight end position last year at the portal as well. They brought in McGowan. He barely saw the field. We saw Nowakowski do his best out there, but he's a fullback. Like he's a fullback playing tight end. And so they're going to need to get something. I think the Grimes offense, they're going to go heavier, which I think a lot of us want to see. We want to see them lean into the offensive line tradition, right? We want to see them into, it's 7 blocks of granite or whatever. It's going back to like Fordham in 1938. But, I think we want to see that as Wisconsin fans as well, because we enjoy that style of football, David. And I think that, if there is one thing to hold on to, it's that, hopefully they will get back to playing physical football.
Yeah. Yeah. The days of 21 personnel, 22 personnel, get back to some tight ends, get back to some running backs in the backfield. I'd love to see it. And that's just because also too, like from a defensive line perspective, give me more pre-snap keys. You know what I'm saying? Like, please have the running back offset to my side and give me a down block, because every single time I'm shooting the gap and I'm tackling, making a TFL, and Mama Pfaff and Papa Pfaff are going, that's my boy, So that's just the defensive line perspective,
Well, you bring up a very good perspective from the defense. Grimes does 60 to 70% motions. Yeah. Tell us how that plays with like defensive eyeballs and thoughts, pre-snap reads.
Yeah, and I think that was something I really struggled with as a player, right? Was football IQ. And as a coach, I've really been able to kind of hone that skill a little bit more. But, it's no surprise, right? Defensive linemen, I hate to say it, we are just not the brightest bulbs in the bunch. I'm just going to say it. Even though there are some phenomenal defensive linemen. Matt Henningsen, just a genius, absolute genius. We'll be in Shark Tank one day, coming up with an invention that'll save the world. But no, there is, to get the advantage over your opponent and always keep them guessing, keeping a defense guessing and trying to confuse a defensive lineman. That's actually a legitimate strategy, and it's knowing your stuff. From an offensive perspective, I would assume just knowing your stuff and trying to game plan to their weaknesses, and one of their weaknesses might be that they don't know what they're doing, and really trying to confuse them, And
there's a lot of things you can do off of motions and shifts, pre-snap shifts.
Sure.
And there's just so much. I think it really, first off, as a defensive player, I did play in high school. You do have to know things. Like when people line up in different places, they're only different plays. So you're just going through that list of what could happen here, what could happen here, and every time you shift or it changes, the offense doesn't care. They know the play. You have to think through your whole Rolodex of what could that play be. So I'm interested to see how that has an effect on defenses. I'm interested to see the evolution of two backs in the backfield, not a fullback with his hand in the dirt. I really need to see tight end play this year. I know we have one more minute. Matt Perkins always has some ending questions.
No, I mean, I know.
So then let me ask a question.
Go for it.
So this might be a little broader, but we lost 19 guys. Sadly, and I'm not being mean, I think we lose any guy we recruited. It's sad to me. But it's been a word of the motion W. It's sad to me. But 19 guys. Out of those guys, probably 10 didn't even play. So it's sad, but go and enjoy your football career. Who are we really sad to have lost? Is there anybody like we're like, oh no?
James Thompson for me.
Yes, James. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
James Thompson for me is the one.
Yes.
He's number one. I think under that you can make arguments about Will Pauling and stuff like that. But to me, James Thompson, as we clearly need better defensive linemen. James Thompson is a very, very good defensive lineman who got hit by injury last year. At the same time, I don't blame him because he's going to go to the SEC and make more NIL money. Right. And, because he's probably a fringe NFL guy. Talk about that nest egg. Get that money while you can. So I don't blame him at all. I don't blame him at all, but I think that he's the one for me that's going to hurt the most.
I agree. You're also playing on a defense that's ranked 100 or in the 90s. So you can shine as an individual, but as let's be real, being close to 100, the 100 defense out of 101 teams is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Like, David, you never want to sit there and you'd give that ring back if you knew you were going to sit at 100 or somewhere right there. It's so interesting. Like, I get texts all the time when people leave transfer portal. A lot of times I'm like, you know what? Now maybe I'm desensitized. So David, I'd love to hear your thought on this, but sadly, we'll all right, it's fine because we have Tretch, so maybe they made a play. I don't know what happens in the office, but maybe they're like, we don't want Will Pauling. We want Tretch Kekahuna.
Yeah.
I don't know. But CJ Williams, I was like, yeah, I guess so. But I'm not, listen, if guys want to leave, I don't feel slighted. I'm just sad that you didn't have a great experience or that you think that there's something better.
Well, and I would hate for people to feel foolish, about putting all their emotional energy, right? We put a lot of emotional energy in these players, right, as fans. And so I can see how people could maybe feel a little slighted and foolish, right, by losing a Pauling or a James Thompson. But that's why you just have to, you really have to focus on loving the program and what it is about. And that's what's so hard right now without an identity, and there's a lot of challenges, right? But I think that was pretty astute. James Thompson, he was an awesome player, and I mean, just it's difficult when you lose guys. I feel like I'm similar to you, MB, where I'm just kind of desensitized. We've been around this game a long time, where we kind of know. What we do know? We know that we don't know anything, and I try to emphasize that all the time. It's like, the only people that really know what's going on is the people in that locker room. And sometimes they don't even know, And so a lot of decisions are made, like transferring. It's not an easy decision. It's probably a little easier now, right? With the portal being open and not having to lose a year and potentially getting more NIL money, right? A lot of good things. But it's still, you're kind of excommunicated from your team, your brothers. No one likes that. You know what I'm saying? No. That's not a great feeling. And I think it's helpful that when guys do make these decisions early on, right? Okay, great. Coaching staff knows this guy, he wants to do his own thing, and we got guys like Trutch, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully it makes the decision for the coaches a little cleaner and for the players.
I think a great ending point, David, is I think you could bring up a great point. When I think of guys that make me so happy to think about next season and the Badgers, let's say last year, Hunter Woller's that guy, right? He's a rock. He's been there. He wants to be a Badger. He put everything on the line. You love those guys, right? They're your heroes. Listen, I'm 41 years old. This guy's a 21-year-old kid who's my freaking hero. Because he's a Badger, right? That Badger blood, that's 100% there. And right now, thinking about next season, it's hard to think like that, right? Like, who do we have who you can hang your hat on?
My guy, Vinny Anthony, baby. My guy, Vinny Anthony.
We got Vinny Anthony, who I'm obsessed with. So there are guys, but it's less, right? When I think about, you're talking about 20 years ago now, the whole team was that you had very little rotation year in and year out, David. I'm sure with you too. And that's what people were excited about, right? You bought a Will Pauling jersey, you had it for 2 years, now it's gone. It's the same thing in the NFL. It's one of those, I want to buy someone's jersey from day one and wear it until he graduates 5 years or 6 years later. And we're just not there yet, but I think you bring up a great point that's the experience. And that's what Badger fans probably want most, is to hang our hats and to say, we're excited to see Vinny Anthony play next year.
Yeah.
But now surround him with guys that we want to also watch for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great point.
Well, we've kept David way too long. He's late for meetings, but we cannot thank him enough for always hopping on with us, always being one of our biggest supporters. Like, we absolutely love you, bro. Like your support, the support of the former Badgers is what like inspires us and to keep going. So cannot thank you enough. We will drop the link to the class action suit here. We're going to drop a link to Zozo Capco in here because you got to check that out. Just amazing. If you're in Madison or in Wisconsin are able to go to one of the pop-up shops, you got to do it. Get yourself a custom Badger hat.
Not just hats. We got the embroiderer now, so we're making a lot of different things. Holiday gear. I'm sure you guys will get a little care package here in a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Zoe does that. But hey, I want to give some shout outs really quick. Shout out to you guys for being awesome. Shout out to my sister Alexis, who just got into Marquette. She's also applying to Madison. Shout out to Sun Prairie East football. Shout out to my amazing supporter Zoe Jenkins. She's amazing. I love everything that she does. And yeah, that's what I got. This is the closest thing I got to being famous now. And we love the pod. The pod is awesome. So.
Well, you're famous in our heart, David. So we thank everyone here for tuning in with us here on Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag and Oak Ridge Wealth Management. We'll be back again soon. Until next time, on Wisconsin.